Welcome to the Mompreneur Life Remix podcast, where you will learn how to remix your mompreneur life so that you can win at work without losing yourself in the process. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business and elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl and hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Mompreneur Life Remix podcast. Let's do this. Okay, friends, you're getting ready to listen to one of the most embarrassing moments or a podcaster could have. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to just stay tuned to listen, but really excited about my guest today. I have been in her community for a really long time, and many of you have probably heard of her. Her name is Dana Malstaff, and she is the founder of Boss Mom and creator of Nurture to Convert. She is a mother, she's an author, she's a speaker, she's a podcaster, and movement maker. She believes that too many brilliant moms are struggling to figure out how to grow their businesses while balancing all that is required to be a good mom, partner, and woman. She teaches nurture marketing to thousands of boss moms so they can authentically get visible and grow their business, even with their inconsistent schedules. Can we get an amen to inconsistent schedules in different seasons of life? And we talk about that in this podcast, but we also really dive into how to attract your clients to you, how to create an environment and be authentic in attracting your ideal client. And her way of, you may have heard the term niche, like the riches are in the niches, or to niche down, or what people might say, what's your niche? She has a really interesting perspective on this, on how to figure out what that is. And so that you can speak to them in a way that like, oh, she gets me. Oh, he gets me. They understand what I'm going through. And that's where the magic happens. So you're going to love this episode. We literally could have talked for 3 hours on this topic, but she gives us some really, really good things to think about. So get your pen and paper ready and let's do this. Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm super excited about today's Turquoise Talk guest, Miss Dana Malstaff. Did I say your last name right? I didn't even ask you that before we started. Is it Malstaff?
You said my last name right. You said my first name wrong. It's Dana, like Dana Banana.
Dana. Dana. Okay. I know a Dana and a Dana, and very few Danas. So I was like,
I know. My mom should have just added an extra N, but she did not.
All right. Well, very cool. Very cool. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you for taking the time to just come on here and share your story and all the amazing expertise you have on copy and messaging and helping boss moms be both and, right? Both, like a great mom and a great business owner. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, and women, partners,
yes,
daughters,
yes,
lazy, productive, all the things. I think we're all meant to be a million things. That idea that we're not is some weird cultural thing. Mm-hmm. It's a weird cultural thing. It's not a real thing. Like, we were meant to be complex creatures. We were built that way. We were not given our brains we weren't ants that if like a leaf falls down,
right,
nobody knows where to go. We are complex creatures with beautiful, complex dreams and memories and ideas and emotions. Like, those were not given to us for no reason. So everybody just needs to shed the guilt that we're supposed to be one person doing one thing.
Yes.
And get on with being wild and hot messness.
Yes. And being okay with your hot messness, right? Because we all have it. I think sometimes we see, especially with social media, it's so easy to look at other people, right? And their success. And we're like, oh, they just have it all together. And I know you hear this with some of your clients. Like, we all have, right? None of them do. It's like comparing the highlight reel to the behind the scenes, like what's really going on, there. And we've all had those messes before the success. So I would just love for the listeners to learn a little bit more about you, your family, and just how you got into the boss mom, like building this brand.
Yeah. Well, I actually never would have thought that I would have built a business around being a mom. I always knew that I wanted to be. I wanted a son and a daughter, just the way my brother had, and I wanted a small family. But I always knew, like, I hilariously would joke as like, I want to have kids so that I can like impose my will upon somebody and like form them into what I would like them to be, so that they can leave a legacy of like my ideas and my morals and my belief system. And I would say it jokingly, although now I see some of myself in my kids, both good and bad. And some of it is like, oh crap, I need to go to therapy and like work out that trauma. And some of it is like, oh, I love that you inherited that hilarious like my daughter's so snarky, like I am. Yeah. And so it's fun, but I never thought that my kids would be part of what my business or my brand would be. When I was in corporate, I did startups all the time. Like my stepdad was an entrepreneur. He was my stepdad since I was 8, and a very big difference in the way you're supported. My real dad was like, you don't need to go to college, which actually I would agree with him now. Just there's a different option 100%. Than what he would have told you is right. But yeah, he was like, yeah, you don't, he said he wasn't very supportive, didn't care. I saw him once a year. My stepdad and my mom were high school sweethearts that rekindled, got back together. They've been together for 35 years now, and he still plays with her hair at the dinner table. And like, so I've seen what positive reinforcement, I've seen what caring, love, what adoring, all of those things are. And so the reason I mention that is because that has helped with my confidence of going out and just being risky. Because I always felt worthy of love. Like I got to see what that is. So I'm a big believer that surrounding yourself with the kind of people who believe you can is the only way you're going to deal with all the crap that actually is. Right. Right. Because hope, if you don't have hope, like whatever, nothing is going to work. Like literally, if you don't have hope, and you cannot self-generate hope all the time, like hope has to be facilitated by the people around you. Otherwise, everybody shuts out the light. Like you got to have people that open the curtains for you, not close the curtains for you. Right. Yeah. So when I was in the company I was in, the husband and a wife had started the company. They got divorced. And everybody that he hired, she was going around and firing, basically. And he was in the marketing department, so he's the CMO. So, of course, I knew that I was coming. They'd already brought in a guy that was like just each month, like getting somebody. So I went and had lunch with them. I think it was one of my bravest moments ever. I went out and had lunch with them, and I cried beforehand and after, right? Just as is supposed to be, of just all the fear, and sat down. I was like, I see what's happening. I'd like to put a 90-day plan together so that I can make sure my team is there. I'll help you interview and hire the new person. And I still know that guy to this day because he was so impressed with, and I just want to tell everybody, the crying before and after was, I was freaking impressive for 90 minutes. I was a hot mess for a week before, and I was a hot mess for a week after, but that 90 minutes is all that mattered.
Right. Yeah.
And that's it. So you think that you have to be on all the time, but you're not. Like you just have to be there in the times when it matters. Yeah. And the rest of the time, you surround yourself with people who support your need to go cry in the bathroom or sleep or not be motivated at all or whatever it is. And so after that, I basically looked and I couldn't find anything. Like I just couldn't find anything that I was really excited about. I was living in Columbus, Ohio at the time. I couldn't find a company I was excited about, and I'd been in business enough and had been at high enough positions at director levels and making really good money. God, that I was just, to be honest, I was bored. Yeah, right. I was bored of it, and nothing excited me. And I am built to be an entrepreneur. And as a mom, I'm built to be the mom that's like flexible and can run to the kids' school and do things. Like I like the flexibility, and I am not the person that plans my 2-week vacation a year in advance. No. I am not that person. And I love the people who are that people that like my ex-husband finds complete and utter contentment in the waiting for that vacation. And I'm the jerk face that is like, I want my life to feel like a vacation. And I want to love my life so much. I don't need a vacation. And I recognize how silly that sounds to some people, but to me, that's just the way I want to live. And so couldn't find anything I was excited about. My mentor at the time, he was a consultant, and he was like, just be a consultant. You get paid whenever you want, like, and you can work whenever you want. And it's harder because you have to go be the salesperson, but I'm an extrovert. So I was like, let's do it. So I started out doing leadership stuff where I had used some connections from my corporate space and went in and like the Red Cross hired me to come in and do an executive retreat for them and do so some of those things at that exact moment when I got, my last day of work on New Year's and me starting my business. Everybody took me out and we had a bunch of tequila shots, and 6 weeks later I was pregnant. So I was like, I joke that I literally became a boss and a mom in the same 24 hours. And I'd been trying to get pregnant, by the way, and it wasn't working because I was working 14-hour days, and my body must have been like, oh, so you're going to be freed up now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's when I had my son and realized I am scared that I am not built to be the kind of mother that culture has told me is the way mothers are. I did not love my child from the very moment they were born. I had a lot of trauma of trying to breastfeed and be there. And this is one thing when people are like, when I'm having a baby, what's your one piece of advice? And I was like, don't let everybody take up the fun time, because everybody wants to hold them when they're good. And then you end up feeding them and changing them and trying to get them to sleep. And in the first 2 months of your life, you're miserable because everybody else gets the snuggles and you get the crap.
Literally the crap.
Unfair.
Literally the crap.
Yeah, but we do it because we're like, yeah, they're cute. Hold my baby while they're cute.
Yeah.
So I wanted him to nap. I wanted to do my business. I wanted to create something more than ever. And I loved my child with immense amounts of love, and also in a lot of ways wanted to be free again. I don't think we recognize enough how much as human beings, and I'm sure men feel this as well, but I know moms feel this, is that you have a child and your brain has to now recognize and reconcile the fact that you will never love anything as much as you do right now, which is a burden in some ways, because every action they take, which you cannot control, is now a codependent relationship of how you feel, right? And that you will never have the freedom that you had before, ever again. That has died. It has died and it is gone, ladies. and I say it abruptly like that because if we aren't vocal and honest about it, then we feel guilty about it. We feel bad about it. And that's part of what, when I had my son, I had all these feelings. I was just like, I went to go write a marketing book and ended up we moved out to San Diego to be closer to my family. Everybody was entrepreneurs. I got into a mastermind. My friend now, Azul Toronis, who helps write books, ended up sitting down to write a marketing book. And what I really ended up wanting to write about was that conversation, the open and honesty fact of we are not built to just be moms. Right. That is not, once you become a mom, that is not now your only identity. And moms have intense identity crisis from becoming a girl to a woman, becoming a woman to a partner, a partner to a mom, and then a mom to an empty nester that becomes a woman again. All of those things. Yeah. You are somehow supposed to be the nurturer and the feminine in your relationship. It isn't. And now with culture, you're also supposed to be independent, who doesn't need anybody. I don't even know how women function, to be perfectly honest. It's a freaking wonder that we've all, that we're all not just crying in a closet somewhere. And they're like, where did all the women go? And they're like, they're off crying.
Yeah, they're in the corner rocking themselves because the pressure
is not realistic.
It's so unrealistic. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I wrote Boss Mom, and now I've been vocal about all that stuff ever since. And that was a decade ago.
It's been 10 years.
Coming on. Yeah. I started my business in 2013.
Okay.
Wrote the book 2014, published in 2015. We're right in the midst of rewriting it. That'll come out at the Labor Day if it all goes well. Because I think that's the funny mom holiday, right? It's about work and laboring.
Oh, right.
So I think that's funny. So we're completely rewriting the book. And so it's been a little over a decade. My son's 10.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, and there's so much to that story and to the community that you've built. And I know everybody's going to want to go and be a part of that community. We'll definitely hit that in this interview, but there's so many different things you could be talking about. But what I find is with what you're talking, you do talk about that piece, but you're really honing in on helping people with their businesses, the nurturing of their audience, finding their ideal client, all of those things. I'd love to dive into that a little bit with you with our time here on the podcast. So being someone who's, built her own businesses, this is a question that we all get about to niche to not niche. And then how do we do that? And what does that look like? And there's so many different ways that are out there that are being taught. So I would just love your perspective on it, because I think it's a little bit different on how do we get to that ideal client so that we can speak directly to them where they understand, like, oh, she gets me. Like, she understands me. She's my people,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. And I think one of the things I try to do is take the jargon out and make things more relatable. I do think, and I say this with love in my heart, that 90% of the marketing advice people get is a regurgitated marketing strategy of 30, 40 years ago that everybody has just passed down without any recognition that the world is a completely and utterly different place. That's what I have found. Like everybody's like, find your avatar. I don't even like that. Avatar is like a
I don't like that
faceless.
word. Yes,
Like,
it
what
is.
is it?
What
What
is
is it?
that?
You know.
I remember
So
the
what
first
we
time I heard
created,
someone say that, I
yeah,
was like, what are they talking about?
yeah. Well, so there's two things when it comes to niching and your ideal client, right? And then and I use tons of relationship analogies because to me, everybody gets a relationship analogy, right?
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah.
And so from a niching perspective, of course you should niche. Of course you should. But demographic niching is different than what we call emotional niching. So demographic niching is what everybody teaches you, right? It's like, hey, what is the man of your dreams? I would like you to tell me his hair color and his height and his where he lives and if, what pets he has and all these things, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now, I want you to only date the people that look exactly like that, right? But you've never dated. So you have this idea in your mind, but you don't actually have any idea whether that guy sucks or not, right?
Right.
Or whether that guy will actually be a good partner or any of those things. And what we do is through life, we know through dating, we're delightfully surprised, right? Or it's like, when you like somebody in a movie and I'm like, well, I only want to date his character in the movie. I don't want to date the real guy that's playing that because he probably sucks. I want to date this guy in this romantic comedy because his character.
Yeah.
And so what we do when we try and do demographic niching is it's like trying to identify all the physical attributes of your ideal person. So a lot of times someone will go, well, I'm only going after new moms that have kids under this, and I'm going after this, and they're in this space, in this industry, and they name in this age group, and they name all these things. But they've never sold anything. So they have no idea whether that person, they're just guessing whether that person is going to want them. And here's what happens. You do that. A year later, you realize your best thing are actually empty nester moms, right? And that they're in their 50s. Right. And those are the people that come to you. Now you have to freaking change all of your content. You have to change your website. You have to change your things because you've been talking to this specific person. With emotional niching, you're only speaking to how they feel. So you're not calling out what age they are necessarily. You're not calling out what stage of life they're in. You're not calling those things. You're speaking just to the emotions. What the emotions do is they call out the person. And you may find that there's 30-year-olds that act like 50-year-olds, right? You may find that it's somebody who is in a completely different space, a completely different gender, a completely different industry. You may have thought, I'm only going to speak to people that are in this health space, but oh my gosh, over here, I don't know why, but freaking real estate agents love me and I can't figure it out. So the emotional niching allows us to say, what are the frustrations that they're feeling, right? What are they telling themselves during in the middle of the night that they're scared that other people will judge them for? What are they feeling guilty about? Right? What are they feeling frustrated by? What do they feel unsupported in? What do they culturally feel like they have to do, but wish they could do something different? What do they feel like they're smart enough that they should have gotten this already, but they haven't, right? We start going down this line of all these questions to understand how they feel emotionally. Now, when I write that emotional content, number one, that's what's working on social media anyway. So if you've seen like the POVs, the like, I want to normalize, the like, I'm sick of like, if you feel this way, then let's change the world. Like those kinds of things. Those are based around what the emotions are and the people that resonate with those emotions. I tell people that use emotional niching and your demographics will reveal themselves to you.
Right.
And over time, then you'll go, oh, okay, now I can hone in on the demographic because over the last year, I've noticed that pretty exclusively the people that give me money are this kind of person. So the emotional niching part, the ideal client scale is really important because I find most people market to people in survival mode, especially women, because you want to know why we want to be helpful. You want to know who I want to help? I want to help the person that needs me the most. But the person that needs you the most is often in survival mode and will love you, tell you they love you, take in all your content, take up all your time, but then never give you money because they do not have the emotional, the financial, or resources in order to pay you. or even get results from you. You could be helpful, but you're not going to be impactful. We want to move up and say, how do we identify the emotional aspects of what is in what we call the hesitant mode? Hesitant is that they're not in survival mode. They have some time, they have some resources, they have some capacity, and they don't have the fear of, I have to pay rent, I have to do things. They've got a little extra wiggle room.
Yeah.
But they're hesitant. They're hesitant because of the way culture has told them what to do. They're hesitant because what you do is considered a luxury, which, by the way, in the market we're in, everything is a luxury, right? So if you're a coach, coaching is a luxury. Like you have to market a different way than you did 5 years ago when coaching was a new, cool thing and everybody wanted one. Now, if you coach, that is a luxury because people need to pay gas and groceries and physical things. All the physical stuff, hilariously, physical products sell like crazy. Coaching is having a hard time at the moment. So you got to know how to market. But the ideal client scale is huge because what people do is they totally use the wrong messaging, and they either go after this person that is the like totally never going to give them money. Yeah. And they put themselves in this friend zone, right? Or they come up here and they're totally marketing to what is all the hard eyes people, and they're missing out on moving somebody from hesitancy mode. So they're not filling any gaps. Yeah. Right. So they're just telling you this is what the world's going to look like. Those people, the people that were perfect for you, you don't need to market to them. They will find you. They will knock on your door and get on a call with you. Stop marketing to them. Start marketing to the people where all of your marketing is about filling that one gap that moves them from being hesitant to actually taking action on what you're doing. And those two things are huge because otherwise all the other marketing strategies are map out your ideal client, map out your avatar and the niche, and then go out and talk to that niche. And then people will go, I've even had a ton of people who spend a ton of money on StoryBrand, and they end up coming to me and using our stuff because StoryBrand is all about understanding like their story, and they have no freaking clue how to execute that out on social. Whereas our nurture to convert strategy helps you understand like what are your opinions about what's wrong with the world, right? And what's the vision of the future you want? And then how do we match the way they're feeling with what so you can be the hope, you can be the beacon, understand their frustrations, and your solution in the your results framework of how you're getting them from this frustration to here is you're the visionary, and do that because markets nowadays have to be centered around you. Before we hit record, we were talking about the direct marketing, and it has to be your story, your vision of the future, your rant about what's wrong with the world and how your solution helps solve part of that problem. Like that matters in today's market. And if we don't match those together, it doesn't work. So you've got emotional niching, ideal client scale, and then what we call our nurture messaging, which is your opinions, your belief system about what's wrong and how to fix it. That's the trifecta of what's actually working. All the other stuff to me just leaves people wondering what the hell they're supposed to do. And then they think they're the problem. Yeah. Yeah. Or they just get so overwhelmed by all the things that they just, analysis paralysis, just analyzing all the things and just not doing anything because they don't fully understand, and they don't know what the next steps are. And well, I'm hearing this person over here saying do this and this person over here. So that's really interesting. I love that. And I will say I have experienced where I brought in, the client that is kind of that in survival mode. And it is really hard to move them into action or to doing something. And again, they're like, I love you and I love all the things you're doing. And it's kind of that friend zone, like you said. So I love those analogies. So what would you say someone's first step to kind of help them with some of the things you're talking about? Like if they wanted to leave this podcast right now and really learn more about this, or just take a first step, because it's a little different, right, than probably what they've heard. Yeah. So what would you say, like maybe the top 3 things, like as soon as you got this podcast, do this? Okay. Hey friend, can I give you permission today? Like for real, your own permission slip. Permission to get clear, to cut out the noise, mostly the noise that is going on around in your own mind, in your own head. It's just swirling, and you're asking yourself questions like, why am I stuck? Why am I frustrated? Why am I not making progress on my goals? I want to invite you to a free clarity call with me where we're going to dive in and we're going to identify what are the 3 main issues that are keeping you stuck. Number 2, what are the mindsets around
those issues that are actually keeping you from solving for those issues. It's not our skill sets, it's our mindsets that keep us stuck and hold us back. And then number 3, identifying what are your next steps. We all have a next step, and we have 100% responsibility for those next steps. Your only next step right now is to go to the show notes and book your free clarity call so that we can work through this. I'm believing in you, and I cannot wait to see you on our clarity call.
Well, and the whole methodology of the way we teach messaging, it's our nurture to convert methodology. Mm-hmm. So if you are somebody who cares about people, right? Like if you're like, Dana, I like cold DMing and I like, churning and burning, and I like, I don't really care. I just want to make money. Then my methodology is not the best for you, right? But I generally find us moms don't like that stuff. They don't want to go out and do all the cold stuff, all the things that feel salesy. We have a hard time actually even asking for what we want, or setting boundaries, like all that kind of stuff. So if that's the case, then and it's funny because I have people laugh like you and they're like, who is that? There are a lot of people who are like that, where they're money making, and the straight up just hardcore business people, the people like me that are like, oh, I'm so empathetic to everything. I just want to be helpful to everybody.
Yeah.
And I keep giving away my time and my effort and I can't make money. But I've got to churn out really good. Yeah, I got to churn out really good, consistent content. So I will never give advice to just be consistent with making a ton of content, because I don't think that's true. I would rather you have a consistency of messaging rather than a consistency of content. I know a ton of people who are not consistent. In fact, I think moms are seasonal. I think we, in the summers and the different times, and depending on the age of our kids and our age and where our relationships are at and where our family's health is, we have ebbs and flow of when we want to be building a big business and when we want to not be in our business at all. And we have to recognize that and just own it and be okay with it. So our nurture to convert messaging methodology is 3 parts, right? And I'll do this real quick so that I can tell you what the 1, 2, 3 steps is. So nurture messaging, results messaging, and conversion messaging. So the way a human being works is based off of behavioral psychology, right? Because if you don't understand how humans work, you cannot get humans to do what you want them to do.
Right.
There's a really good book called Predictable Irrationality, and we are not rational human beings. So if you think, if I just tell them, like one of the biggest mistakes people make, right? So this is number 1, don't make this mistake. Well, I just want to tell them honestly that they need to be committed to the hard work of doing what needs to happen so that we can get them results. It's like, no, that is not how marketing works. Like, I know that you feel like that's the authentic way, but that's not. That's like going on a first date and being like, well, I really want to tell them about all of my baggage and trauma in this first date so that they really understand what they're getting into. And then if they're committed and then they're like, why does nobody go on a second date with me? That says you don't reveal that stuff right away. And that doesn't mean you're not being authentic. Right. That means you have to understand what is the starting point of a relationship. And you have to get somebody to be emotionally involved before they can be emotionally committed. Like, that is the thing. Yep. So don't go out thinking, I just need to be authentic about how hard the results are going to be in order, and that'll make me real, because everybody else is lying about these big pie in the sky results. But we need to sell hope, right? So nurture messaging is about getting them to feel like they belong, right? That you understand them, that you feel the world is broken in the same way they do, and that you share a vision for the future. The results messaging shows them that you really truly have a system that they can understand that is built for them and their emotional, the emotional niching side and that kind of thing, that you can show them. We do results frameworks. We can show them what that result is and like how you're going to get them there. And the conversion messaging understands that most of your audience is 80% there. And if you don't understand some of the terminology, we call it like denormalizing the pain, like, oh, I want to fix your back pain. You're over 40. And they're going, yeah, but back pain over 40 is just, I've been told that's what it is. You don't sleep when you have a newborn? Well, yeah, nobody sleeps when they have a newborn. People have normalized their pain. So you have to denormalize the pain. Pour a lemon on the paper cut. Understand the catalyst that'll actually move them into action. Like, there's things you can do that take people from 80% to there, because most people are not making sales because they have an audience that's sitting at 80% conversion. And in terms of potentially buying from you, and they just don't understand the ways to push them over the edge. So those 3 things, right? So then what do you do with that? The very first step, right, is going to be the nurture messaging. Like, that's what everybody should be working on, because that's what makes you a magnet as opposed to having to go out and try and find people. And it's really simple. Number 1 is we call it your movement manifesto, right? And all you need to do is you need to use these phrasings, right? Sit down and go, I believe blank. right? And make it specific to either your industry or just the way you live your life, right? Because that matters in the space. Now, you used to have businesses where you didn't matter, but now your way you want to live your life matters. So, for instance, like, I believe that you cannot cry out your intelligence, that you could cry, because your kids won't put their shoes on, and then an hour later get on a call and be a freaking rock star. Like, I don't believe you can cry out your intelligence, right? I believe that you don't need to have clean hair or wear pants in order to grow your business. Right?
Oh, people only see us from the waist up anyway.
Down here.
Yeah, people only see us from the waist up anyway.
Like I believe a woman can be motherly and sexy at the same time. Yeah. Right. In fact, I love it. I love a woman who can feel sexy and feel nurtured at the same time. Right. So you start to sit in, okay, that's the first one. Then it's, I want to live in a world where, right? Like, I want to live in a world where, like, moms can choose what they're doing, choose their time, be there for their, go to volunteer at their kids' school, and then also rock, a meeting at the same, and not feel like they have to pick one. Right? Like, I want to live in a world where, and so you just start going down, and you may have 10, 20, you may have, like, you'll prune it to the things that actually matter. Right. Yeah. And then this is what I know to be true. Right. So I want to live in a world where things that aren't real, right? We're not there yet, but I'd love for us, it's a shared vision of the future. Right. But, and then this is what I know to be true. This is what I know to be true are, like, my values. Like, this is what I know to be true is that there are a million freaking brilliant moms out there that are not building things and doing things because they feel like they can't and be a mother at the same, be a good mother. They are feeling like, if I care about something other than my children, then I am taking love away from my children. And a chapter from our old book is love is limitless. That is not how love works, ladies. Yeah. In fact, why would we want to build a world where all we do is tell our children and tell our daughters that, by the way, you get to have all these beautiful dreams and things that I want to cultivate when you're a kid. And the moment you have kids, the only thing you can care about are their dreams. Nobody's ever then doing any of their dreams.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Dreams,
yeah.
It's a system, right? So you do that. And the movement manifesto becomes, if you notice, some of the things I said, those are the things I say on interviews. Those are the things I say in social media. Those are the things I say in emails, on sales pages, because people go, hell yeah, I want to stand up on the desk and be like, heck yeah, I want to yell that in the rain too. Thank you for saying that out loud. Yeah. You do those, and that your movement manifesto is the shared vision of the future, right? The next step is your opinions. And those are, this is what is broken, right? Like, our culture is broken in this way. Our systems are broken in this way. The way family is put together is broken in this way. The way we think about this is broken in this way. The way blank, what is broken, right? You may talk about how the medical field is broken. You may talk about how the education field is broken. You may talk about how relationships, a lot of what's working online right now are relationship coaches talking about the old way of marriage doesn't work anymore. It's broken. We don't want those relationships anymore, right? And the same thing with marketing, the same thing with work, the same thing with parenting, the same thing with relationships, the same thing with nutrition, fitness, all of those things. So what is broken about the way we used to do things? And it could be culturally, it could be familially, it could be whatever you want to talk about is the things that are broken, right? Now that is the shared belonging of, oh, like, that's broken. Like, yes, totally. Like, I agree with you. Okay, so then how are we fixing it? So just make sure that your opinions aren't about everything in the world. It's just about the thing that's in relation to what you're offering, what you're doing, what you're trying to sell, right? And then the third one is your permissions, which is, how do they feel judged? What do they feel judged about? For instance, like, before we hit record, we talked about my hair, right? My hair does not grow, right? And my ex-husband would be like, don't worry, if you try hard enough, it will eventually grow, right? And my partner that I've had for years now is like, oh, you're a freaking bombshell. I love this short hair. You were always meant to have short hair. Who do I want to be around? I want to be around the person that doesn't think I'm not as pretty because my hair is short, but actually thinks this is me. This is a version of me. If I love to run, which I don't, I joke that when I have the desire to run, I lay down until it passes. I do not understand the function of running. I don't know why you would do it. It makes no sense to me. But I got hit by a car when I was on a bike when I was a kid. Riding a bike makes no sense to me. Yeah. But I also do MMA. Like, I love being a badass, right? Yeah. I don't hang out with people. I've dated people back in the day who were runners and loved running, or bicyclists, right? Not a good match. Not a good match. Because I don't make them feel good about themselves, and they don't make me feel good about myself. Same thing with the way you parent, that kind of thing. So your circles of understanding is, you want to hang out with people that make you feel accepted and loved. So use this phrase: you're not crazy, right? You're brave when you blank. right? Like, you're not crazy. Like, we don't judge you for blank, right? Like, we're your people when you blank, right? And so those, Seth Godin always said, people like us do things like this, right? So, because that's what we want to do. We want to be with people. So if you can start going out on social and media or in your emails or in your wherever you're going, and you can start saying things like, hey, like, you want to have a business and you want to have kids, and that not only are you not crazy, but I want to actually tell you that I believe that doing things that are hard and you're passionate about it and you're working towards this goal to achieve something, like, your kids need to see that. They need to see it. Otherwise, they will never be brave. Right? Like, when you're in relationships, what is the thing that it's like, hey, you want to have deep conversations with your partner, you want to do this, you want to do that, like, you're not crazy, you're brave. Or like, you're just straight up not crazy. We do that too. Like, hey, you're a hot mess, you cry once a week. Yeah, join the club, lady.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with you. Just say the phrase, like, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you when you do this. Those things, you put those three things together: the shared vision of the future, the opinions about what's broken, and the permissions that the way you are, there's nothing wrong with it, right?
Yeah.
You put those together, and that is generally can be 90% of your marketing plan. Now, we don't have time today, but you need to talk about, like, how do you actually then tell them how you get results? Because I find most people don't actually know. They're like, well, if I could get on a 2-hour call with them, I can totally sell them. And you're like, no, we have to actually know your results framework. You have to actually know how you're getting them results and breaking that down. And the cool part is the breaking down of that often becomes coursework, opt-in, things, content, your webinar, that kind of stuff. And you need that. And then you do need the conversion messaging, because you need to know how to call out their catalyst. And the catalyst is like, your kid says something to you that you realize, like, oh crap, like, I need to get a life coach because I don't want them to turn out like me, right? A parent gets sick and you go, oh my gosh, I need to change this thing about my life. I don't want to be like them, or I want to, whatever that is. Or your favorite pants don't fit and you're like, oh my gosh, something has to change. It's the catalysts are those moments when you all of a sudden go, oh crap, I can't wait any longer. And you need to be there for those catalysts, and you need to pour lemon on the paper cut to create those catalysts in a way for your audience to move them into action. So those are the next steps. But if you don't do the nurture messaging first, those people don't know you exist and don't trust you. And if you don't have trust, you can't get sales.
Yeah. So much there. I know people that are listening, they're gonna be like, I'm gonna have to come back to this episode with my like full-blown notebook to write all this stuff down. But it's so true. And it's something that I've seen you do really, really well. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding as far as like building that community and bringing those people into your community. And I know you've launched kind of a new community. So I wanted to spend just a couple of minutes kind of talking about that. So I'm sure that's one of like the most exciting things. I usually ask the guests, like, what are you most excited about right now? And I don't want to answer that for you, but I do feel like that's a big piece of it. So can you share with those that are listening, like what this new community is? I'm so excited about it. I'm just so excited about it. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm about to turn 43 in like three days. I think it's Friday. Yeah. Wednesday and Friday, 2 days. And I've always wanted an app. So I'm super pumped that, like, before my 43rd birthday, I was like, I have an app. But here's the funny thing. I've been a community builder. I mean, that's part of my expertise. Like, people bring me in to build community, the behavioral psychology of it and understanding how humans work. That's like my love. I love the dynamic of people, and community culture is really an area of expertise. You can't just throw a bunch of people in a room. And and I know everybody here has joined a mastermind or like joined a group program or joined a community, and it just doesn't feel, it feels like hard work, or there's not people that are connecting with. That's because community is truly a facilitated space, and we're really good at it. Like, we're really good at it. So we grew the Boss Moms group, which is I say was because it no longer exists, was a free Facebook group. And it was about 75,000. And it could have been 2-3 times that, but we were very specific about not just wanting a number. We wanted to cultivate. So we would not let a crap ton of people in, and we kicked a crap ton of people out so that we could keep this space. And I basically made this decision. So I was going in to do to talk with somebody about building an app. And I thought it was going to be a productivity app. Like, I was going to make some habits. I don't know. I was like, I want a Boss Mom app. I want it. And I was at a point in my business like, I could build one. I want to build one. And they said, do you want a community function? And I said, no, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want anything. I don't want any community. I don't want to deal with it. I'm unhappy. I don't want to whatever. And then I sat back that night and I was like, why would I say that? I love community. I love people. Like people, the people that
you're
know
so good
me,
at it. You're so natural.
it's
Yes.
not even that I'm good at it. I am a weird human being that freaking loves the mess. I love it. I love humans. I love how they work. I love how crazy and insane we are. I think it's beautiful and just like I love it. And I'm a naturally happy person. It really is annoying to several of my friends. I have way too much energy and everything that bad that happens in my life. I'm like, but that's a good lesson. Like, how can we move forward?
Oh, I know. I've been saying why my friends are like, you always see the positive. I'm like, it's just how I am. It's not that I don't have a bad day. And it's not that you don't have a bad day.
Oh, all the time.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Mother's Day, for instance. I hate Mother's Day. I don't know why it's a holiday. It's the
in
worst
May.
holiday
Why
ever.
is it in May?
Oh, and everybody, it's all about making like somehow like your children loving on you, but you're like, it's work. It's always work. And then I have to also try and make my mom feel loved, who's trying to make sure I feel like it's the worst. I don't know why we have it. Just leave me alone. Just pretend it's not a day and just love me on a different day. So I totally get it. But now you lost me my train of thought. Oh, the community. So I basically, I was like, I do want community. I love community. Why don't I want it? And what I came to was that the Facebook group is what I didn't love. Facebook is making it increasingly difficult, especially for groups my size. Small groups can still be really great, but the big groups are, I don't get visibility. Managing it was like $1,000 a month just to manage the crap of the people that they come in and the fakeness and the like all this kind of stuff. And it was this free space that I couldn't do the things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
In order to grow. And so I have to find other ways to make revenue, even though we have this community space and the just distractions. Like I would go in to do something in the group and then 20 minutes later realize I just watched synchronized dancing.
I don't know. True.
I'm like, why did I just watch a cheerleading competition? I have no idea what just happened. Don't even know. And I know everything that's happening with Anne Hathaway right now. It's just, I don't want to. I don't care.
I did not come here for this.
Yes. Yeah. So I went and saw Dune 2, the movie, and by myself. I love seeing movies by myself. Culturally, I think we should all do that more. Just like, cold theater, thing of popcorn. Some red vines, and I am a happy camper. And I came out of the movie, and there's this part in the movie where he has to go all in. It's like he has to sever these things that he had before, which is really scary, and he has to go all in if he wants to like lead this revolution. And I came out and I boxed the girls and was like, just came out of the movie. We're shutting the Facebook group down. And they're like, I love this, but what happened? And I was like, I saw this movie and I saw Dune 2 and I've got to be all in. We're going to lead a revolution. This is going to be amazing. They're like, yeah, we're all in. And I had helped clients build on Circle, which is, I think, the best community platform. Went in and I was like, I want it, but I want my own app. And so I had to pay it. And I don't even want to talk about how much money to make my own, to like convert it in their technology and convert it into my own app. And so that just came out yesterday, actually, by the way. So that we started the community and we have 500 members already just in the first month, but that took time to like get the app approved. So it was just approved like yesterday or the day before. And super pumped. So we now have a Boss Mom app a couple days before my birthday, and it is paid. So it's only $67 for the whole year, but it is a complete, number one, it's now a revenue ability for me to put way more resources into facilitating the networking, facilitating the community, which means this year my word is mentor, right? Which means I have stopped the coaching. I've stopped any of those things. We're launching our Nurture to Convert coaching certification. So we will now certify people in our methodology and then feed them business. So all the people that come to me that want to join our programs and do our things, we're going to now move them to there. We have a whole system that we're building up so that what we want to do is Boss Mom Plus isn't a community. It is a platform. Like Boss Mom Plus is going to be the place that you go, right? The app that you go to, and you can get to it on your desktop. It all looks beautiful, where you can no longer be on social media. We are literally working to replace your social media. We were talking about if you need a village, we are freaking building the city for you. Yeah. And you can come into our city, and this is going to be the distraction-free place where we facilitate you building connections, networking, building authority. We even have an SEO strategy for you within Boss Mom so you can become micro-famous. In the future, you're going to be able to rent space so you could run your group program through ours. So your clients would come into the Boss Mom app. You'd be able to sell your thing. Like we have this whole strategy where moms do not have the space and the time to do their sales and marketing. We want to help sales and marketing make it easier for you, because teaching you how to do it is just another thing that you have to learn and try to be an expert in. Our women want to be fertility experts. They want to help you sleep better. They want to help you be healthier, have better relationships, get divorced, stay married, have more kids, not have any kids. Like they want to help you with all those things and not be a sales and marketing expert. And that's what we want to do. So I'm super pumped about it, because to me, before, I was a coach trying to teach people. I've never felt like a true entrepreneur until we've launched this, and we are trying to literally build a true solution for moms that has never existed before, because we've had to shove ourselves into the way we market and do social media online.
Yeah.
And it was never built for us, and they don't care about us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't care. So, because they don't have to. So now we're creating a whole new space. So we're 500 women and growing. Right now, we intend to be 5,000 before by the end of the year, 10,000 by May of next year, and at even the 5,000 mark, we are pretty much a self-sustaining space where you could get all of your clients within the app, distraction-free, facilitated connection, find your village, find those people that actually tell you your hair is beautiful, as opposed to like, don't worry, it'll grow later, you know?
That is the craziest story. I'm going to be thinking about that all the time. Like, it is just like, wow, just perspectives, right? And how people see things and how people treat people. Well, I'm super excited about it. I know someone that's listening is thinking to themselves, what does that mean that she's not going to be on social anymore? So I want to ask that question.
Well, it's not that I'm not on social. And it's funny because it's the irony of the fact that I've got to go where the people are right now. And it's not even that other people can't be on social. Although I think what we're doing right now is the most powerful form of marketing, is going and getting featured, going and doing collaborations. I actually think that networking, and we're calling it nurture networking, and kind of formulating our results framework on exactly how we recommend you network. I think that is making its way back. I think we went way down the rabbit hole of like passive income and doing nothing and like all this stuff. And that just doesn't work for 99% of the population. I think we're moving into an era of paid community. I think we're moving into an era of facilitated networking, and that has an intense amount of value. So I think that's where we're going to go, and it's going to be more fulfilling for moms.
Yeah.
I have to be able to find you guys and bring you over. Like, I've literally got to like go into the bar that you don't want to be in and drag you out and bring you to the place that's the better place for you. So yes, I am on social. Yes, we have a strategy. Yes, we're going to run ads. We're going to do those things. And because we have to, and just so everybody knows, I don't want to. It's not sustainable. Like I don't. Yeah. So, but the Boss Mom book, the new book, other books that we're going to be writing, getting featured, like those are still our number one long-term strategies, and some of the aspects of SEO that go along with those things. That's it, because to me, that's where me talking to your audience is the best, and it's the most fun. Like this is the most fun. So yeah, I still, of course, I'm out on social media. I do it reluctantly. You know, I also have a company with a team that writes a lot of stuff for me and does a lot of stuff for me. When I was a solo mom, like there's just no freaking way to do all of that stuff. So we are bearing a lot of the burden so that our audience doesn't have to. Like, and that's what a mom does. A mom bears a lot of the burden so that the people she loves doesn't have to. Now, in some ways, your kids have to step up because it's good for them. You guys and everybody else has to step up and do the actual and the connecting, but it's so much more fulfilling in the way that we're doing it, as opposed to creating a bunch of content nobody sees and then you think you're the problem and nobody loves you. We love you. Come hang out with us.
And I think it's so timely, because I am hearing more and more people they're just unhappy on the social presence, and they're frustrated and they're burnt out and all of the things. And so I think having that, not just a safe place, but a fun place, and one that has everything that we need. Like, I'm all for the one-stop shop type of opportunities and communities to be in. And, you know, being inside of your community, I can say there's so much value there. Not just from the community piece, but the networking piece. Yes. And I feel that. And I was like, oh my gosh, someone's finally doing it. Like, when I got your email, like, someone's finally taking that big leap, because it is a big leap to leave social and start this whole new platform. But I'm excited to see it grow. I'm excited to see where you take it and free up so many mom entrepreneurs or women entrepreneurs or whoever to see that it can be done a different way.
Yeah, I love it. And by the way, speaking of the people who don't get you, I've had a ton of people reach out to me that are like colleagues and just go like, Dana, what the hell are you doing shutting down that group? Like, you need to keep this thing and you need to funnel people here and you build this thing over here. And I was just like, okay. And I'm telling you, I made a list of those people, and they're not my circle anymore in terms of people I would talk to. The only people that I'm keeping really truly in my, like, I'm asking advice from them circle are the people that are like, thank freaking God. I love it. You are starting, like, 5 years from now, we're going to remember when you were one of the first people to start doing this and everybody followed. Like, I love it. I love how brave you are. Like, go get it. And I'm like, okay. And that's, you guys surround yourself with those people. It's called the circle of understanding is what we call it. And you do it because otherwise everybody else is going to make you question your decisions. And as a mom, freaking, we don't know if we're going to screw our kids up or how or when. We don't know when that's going to happen. Yeah. It's like, you don't need more of other people making you feel like you don't know how to make good decisions. So surround yourself with people who do it, and then do that same service for the people that are your people.
Yeah. Well, that is a great way to wrap up this interview, because I was going to ask you if you could say one thing. I think that's really important for them to hear as a mom and as an entrepreneur. So thank you so much again for coming on today. We're going to put links to everything in the show notes so everybody can go and find out more about this amazing community that you're building. And I'm really excited. So thanks again for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.